Buenos dias. Welcome to Nevermind TV, live on location in Patagonia in Chile.
Chico, hang on. Coco Chico? Chico Coco? I don't know.
I'll discuss the details, John. I've got a plan here.
Yes.
We're totally unscripted here, but we're live on location in Patagonia in Chile. We've just crossed the border. Do you want to describe where we are?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, a couple of days ago, we were on great big flat roads in the middle of grass country, sort of like the Nullarbor, but with mountains in the distance with snow on them, you know, which is not like the Nullarbor at all. And then all of a sudden, we've dived into these mountains. And I guess that's kind of where we are. We've gone over the border. We went from Argentina into Chile at the border, which was like a 5K 2 border post thing. Lovely people too, by the way. How cool were they, you know? Like I had all the girls in the customs were laughing at me because they thought they were being cheeky, but I actually worked it out. They thought I was Santa Claus. And so I did a big yo ho ho, presents for everyone, and they just cracked up, you know.
I missed that.
Oh, yeah. You were busy doing something important. I was playing around.
Possibly.
As usual.
So
and then we dived into the mountains.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to describe.
This is the real backdrop. I know it looks fake on the camera, but this is real. This is the real deal.
And this lake, we must have been following it for about 60, 70 Ks yesterday.
Yep.
It's huge.
It's the largest lake in Chile.
Yeah.
It actually crosses over probably a third of it into Argentina. It's huge.
And it's got two different names, hasn't it?
Lake General Carrera in Chile and Lake Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Your Spanish is getting really good too, you know. But look, this body of water, do you know how big it is? Like, how does it relate to something in Australia? Is there anything?
Usually we talk in Sydney Harbours. So
Sydney Harbours,
I'll look into that. I don't know how big it is, but it's big. It's we actually, the next 2 days, we'll be riding at the foreshore. And like I said, it's like the Great Ocean Road, but snow-capped mountains and fresh water and, you know. And
the rocks, you know, it's all, what is it, plate disturbance and volcanoes and stuff?
It's tectonic. So it's, you know, the Argentinian side, so the Andes are formed. I'm, you know, no expert really, but the two plates collide and push up, you know, and that's what the Andes are. So.
And you get some of the most amazing rock formations left over, you know, like it's the plug of the volcano or something, but there'll be great big square slabs and you look at it and you think, did someone build a castle there once? You know, it keeps looking like that. But, hey, that's the other thing, right? 60, 70, whatever Ks we did next to the lake the other day, 4 cars and an old Mercedes Beta log truck, and that was it. It's lonely.
It's not. It surprises me. We bumped into a couple of Aussies down in Argentina. But that's rare, you know. Like it's not. It's still well off the radar, the tourist radar. So, like I always say, the surfers and the bikers come in and discover these places and start sharing they come home with stories, and then the tourists start coming. So get in now before everyone finds out about this place. It's unbelievable.
And then you know. The places we stayed at last night and the night before, this place that we're sitting in at the moment, what's it called?
Patagonian Lakes. So we're about 60 kilometres from the border. And the nearest town's Chile Chico, which is about, it's 50 Ks, so it's very remote here.
But it's 5-star, you know. We got here, don't worry guys, just have a drink, you know, the fire's going. We're sitting at a bar that'd rival any bar anywhere. And then we've got little chalets to stay in. I get down to my little cabin thing and there's a wood fire in the corner and there's everything, the firelighters, the matches, the kindling, you know. So I thought, hey, I've got time before dinner, I'll whistle up a quick fire. It took about 2 seconds. And I went back in, the room was just toasty.
It's just so cosy and overlooking. This is what you're looking at on your balcony. It's very comfortable. 3-course dinner. I mean, it's pretty extravagant, you know, but we do like to treat ourselves sometimes.
Well, and
it was a big day.
It was a big day. We deserved it, you know. We must have done 400 k's yesterday.
220.
No.
With border crossings
and
lunch stops, and you know, we want to have a look around, you know. So we
220 k's. Is that all we did?
Yeah.
Okay, but for the benefit of those at home who are thinking about 220 k's on a tar road, no. I was in first gear heaps of times, dealing with the little round rocks on the road, you know. Like,
I think they're commonly referred to as pebbles.
Pebbles. Mr. Geology here, thank you very much. And, you know, the reality is it was a pretty... You'd need a reasonable level of skill to deal with it. It's not that easy. Be okay in a 4-wheel drive, you know.
Easy, yeah.
But even then, people are going slow because tight corners, you know, unexpected things going on all the time. And then all of a sudden, there I am roaring along, getting up a bit of pace for once, and a condor came out of nowhere. This big black bird, you know, sort of and it's just, and I thought, hello, he's come in to see if I'm a rabbit or something. That was amazing.
Looking for a feed.
Amazing.
It's very special. So we've come up we started in El Calafate, then we went up to El Chalten, Mount Fitzroy, which that's where we recorded the previous podcast from, which was, we ended up having a massive night after that, like the Beatles cover band up at the local pub.
Oh, that's right.
Everyone dancing, doing the conga.
Yeah.
The locals. With the locals. I mean, I think it wasn't a late night, but it was
pretty full on night.
Pretty special, and there's a certain member of the group that got up for two sessions and played the harp.
Oh, gee, okay, that'll be me.
We may or may not have some footage of that.
I'd just like to apologise. You know, it wasn't my harp. I had no idea what was going on, and I might have had a couple of bevos on the way.
But you definitely got the party going. Put it that way.
Oh, I don't know if it was me, mate. Look, if you can imagine a scenario where there's all these young, cool people all over the place, you know, and then there's one table of Australians who are possibly average age, a little bit older than a lot of them by a couple of decades. Guess who's doing the partying? It was us. We lit the place up. It was one of our guys, Sebastian, who hopped up and led a Congo dance, and they all joined in. It was, at one stage, I don't know who it was, somebody started doing that thing with the phone light, you know? And all of a sudden they've all realised, oh, you can do this. It was almost as if they're all sitting there going, hey, this is really cool, but what do we do next?
Let's have some fun.
And then they see the Aussie table and they go, let's do what they're doing.
We've got to give Dancing Dan a special mention.
Oh, Dancing Dan and the Slater, hey. I mean, the two of those guys, if you come from Perth, you know, feel embarrassed.
Shout out to Slater and Muir, one of our groups, a mortgage broker. Check him out.
Oh yeah,
and probably one of my best customers.
Oh mate, I'll tell you what, you know, I'd buy another house just to go and talk to Adrian again.
He's actually helped out a lot of our clients. He comes on these trips and he meets people and they're buying a home. He's like, oh, give us a shout when you get home.
I believe it. Hey,
I wonder if he's doing better than I am out of this.
Well,
it's good on him.
Given the way you work, mate, there's every chance he probably is. But that's just fine, you know.
Yeah, we did have a $500 bar tab that night, which I think you still owe me for.
What about those Broncos, eh?
Hey, we'll work something out. We're going to, so from El Chalten, we went to up to Lago Posadas.
Yeah.
And we had 2 nights there in the cabins, which is a very special place.
Wasn't that nice?
Tell us about that. What do you remember from that?
What do I remember? I've got memories I'll never lose from that. Okay, so 1 minute we're in an almost lunar terrain, except you don't have aqua blue lakes in lunar terrain. You know, so it's all browns and greys and mountains and rocks. And then you come over a little hill and there's this massive blue lake with a causeway right through the middle, a natural causeway, I'd say.
Yeah, I believe it is natural. They put a road.
It looks artificial.
It doesn't look natural.
But it's, you know, and you've got waves breaking up on a beach on one side because the lake's that big, and then calm and reeds on the other side, which was kind of unusual. And we crossed an old wooden bridge and clattered along. And Matt had said, oh, that's where we're staying, where those red roofs are. I caught just a little glimpse of red from up on top of the hill and thought, gee, we're all going to be staying in a dog box by the look of this. And we get there, and in amongst the trees is the most glorious resort. You know, it was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we ran into Gary and Joan, who were from Queensland, people I knew, in the middle of nowhere, you know, the people you run into. It just goes to show the class of people you hang out with, adventurers.
It's not the first time. I remember in Sri Lanka at one lunch stop and, Roothy, yeah. Some random cafe in the middle of Sri Lanka, central Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And the chalets, once again, it was all generator power and you know, septic system, I'd imagine. In fact, I know it was, because I went for a walk and walked the wrong way as usual.
You stepped in it.
I was looking for you because this crazy bastard hops up in the morning early, finds the nearest ice block and goes and dives on it. You know what I mean? Like, I go down to the lake, sun's just come up, it's absolutely glorious. It's too nice to stick around in bed. You've got to go for a wander. And I've gone for a walk and there they are. There's this little jetty, you know, and the water is like, colder than beer.
There'd be 5 or 6 degrees, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, it wasn't, mate. It was 5 or 6 degrees outside. The water was colder again. And there they are, you know. Who was there? Oh, the honk. The honk.
The honk. The big honk.
Honk. I got there.
Dancing
Sean,
Dan.
yeah, Dancing Dan was there having a dive. By crikey. I just put my finger in and said, yep, that's it. You guys are crazy. Went and sat on a bench and watched.
It's you know, you got to balance it out though, John. You know, we have a few beers at night and a big feed, wake up in the morning and, you know, a few push-ups and in the water. And then you're good to go for the day, you know, you're in a good mood and you can deal with anything that comes along. And we'll do sometimes have to.
Yeah, well, we do. Nice sleep in and a big breakfast, that suits me. But, you know, hey, different levels of fitness.
That's
you
right.
You did it again this morning, didn't you, down here?
Down here, yep. Beautiful jetty down the bottom there and me and the big honk were down there at 7:30. It's still dark and...
we heard him scream from up here. We didn't know what it was. That was the honk, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a grizzly bear was drowning down there.
The dogs here are like bears too. You know, they're big and hairy and, you know, Sri Lanka's full of little sort of kelpie-sized dogs, if that. Then you come here and they're all big lab sort of sized things, you know, big and hairy.
Working dogs.
Working dogs.
Well, the big dogs here, I believe, because there's an alpaca farm as well, so I think they're shepherds for the alpacas.
Okay,
when I went down for a swim, they followed me down
the
all
dogs
the way
did?
just to keep an eye on me, make sure I wasn't going to steal one of the...
Interfere with the alpacas?
One of the alpacas, yeah.
And while we're talking about weird stuff, you might have noticed, can I just point out that this is not an implement of whatever? What is it?
No, it's not a bong. It's mate. So this is a traditional Argentinian Chile tea. And the basically wherever someone's got one of these, you can just walk up and you share it. And it's rude not to, and you share it. And it's delicious stuff. It's a tea, local tea called yerba. It's a bit like green tea. It's delicious.
No, it's not. No. I don't know.
It's
It must be exceptionally good for you because it's not delicious. It's kind of like licking your boots after you've been through a dairy.
But it's more it's the ceremony, you know. It's a traditional thing. If there's a farmer on the side of the road and you walk up to ask for directions, he'll just offer that to you, and it's rude to say no.
So you just slurp it up and pretend it's good.
Yeah, and it gives you a bit of a buzz, and you just top it up with hot water.
Yeah.
And off you go.
Okay.
And they drink it all day.
Yeah. So, see here? I found just normal tea. I'm fine.
I'll stick to the coffee. From Lago Posadas, we've arrived here. Big day on the road. I think nearly 10 hours with stops and whatnot. We did have a couple of beers in the afternoon, just a light, shared a bottle.
Can I just say, I don't know. You know, I thought the beer in Sri Lanka was pretty good. You know, mostly because I wasn't expecting it to be anywhere near as good as the stuff we have in Australia. You know, but here. I don't know why, every beer I've had, what do you call them, industrial beers as opposed to...
Well, they're big on craft beers here, but I like the Kilmers. Yeah. So Kilmers is my favourite, but it's kind of like a 4X type beer, but my Argentinian people, they like to hang a bit on us for drinking it because they're like, that's an industrial beer, that's for the... You know, that's for the lower class people. You know,
yeah, that's me.
I love it.
That's me. I'm right down there.
We're pretty down to earth.
Yeah, give me a blue collar and I'm happy because, you know, the beer here though, the Kilmers, comes in a litre bottle.
Yeah, it's a big.
It's a good way to start. It's about 4.7% or something, and it's just pure.
Yeah, it's very refreshing, crisp.
So pure. Yeah. And I haven't had a hangover off it either.
And
at all.
Anyone from Kilmers out there, if you're listening,
do you want to send a
we'd love a couple of T-shirts and maybe a couple of boxes. It'd be great just for that. But it's probably, I'm going to look for it when I get home. It's probably my new favourite beer. So from here, we're following the lake around to Porto Tranquillo. So sorry, I get mixed up with the Lago. Lago is lake, Porto is port. So Port Tranquil.
Port Tranquil.
There's nothing tranquil about this place. This is what Lucia and I joke about, because last time we were there with the guys from the UK on the previous trip, we had beautiful dinner. We found an incredible spot for dinner, and then there's a bar next door, and they disappeared down there pretty quickly. And I thought I'd stick my head in and have a look, and that was a mistake. Yeah. Well, maybe not, but not a mistake. There was nothing tranquil about the place.
Nothing tranquil.
The guys running the joint were just so friendly, helpful, suggesting cocktails. The Calafate sour is their specialty. Oh. I don't recommend having more than two because it could be a tough day the next day.
What was the one we had here last night?
So that's a pisco sour. So they say pico. They call it in Chile. It's a famous Chilean cocktail drink. It's like a spirit made from grape, but it's like a grappa type spirit with lime juice and fresh egg white on top.
And it's just so easy to drink that you can drink it really easy.
Very smooth.
But it's got a kick like a mule. You know, even the locals say, no more than two.
Yeah, I had two last night and I slept like a baby.
Me too. Sleeping tablets from hell. Yeah. And I giggled all the way back down to my lodge.
So
that was awesome.
We have the opportunity to visit the marble caves there. So they're limestone formations that are out in the middle of the lake. So we can take some boats out, check that out. It's worth a look. Get some photos, and it's a fun little thing to do for a couple of hours while you're there, and then we'll push on. We've got a big day after that through to Coyhaique, which is the main trekking centre in Patagonia in Chile. Mm-hmm. It's a really cool town. It also services the agricultural and industry in the area as well. So it's a good mix of a real life in this area. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, that back road we took yesterday, we took a couple of back roads. We took one that was literally just a four-wheel drive track from where we were staying over the hill to join up with, was it Route 40 again or Route 41?
41 we're on.
41, yeah. And that makes it sound like it's a great big major industrial highway or something. It was just a slightly wider dirt track.
Yeah.
Think Development Road or actually there's probably a Plenty Highway before they sealed it, something like that, where it can be fine and then it can get random and then it just, every now and then it just pops your mind. floating along, concentrating on riding because of the little pebbly things, and then you'll just pop out into something that just blows your mind. You have to slow right down, have a bit of a look around, take in the colours. It's like, it's like a watercolour artist's dream or something, this place.
Yeah.
The colours are just out of this world, and I guess that, I suppose there's a clarity in the air, there's a clarity in the water. I noticed the other day someone said, "Oh, can we drink the water here?" Well, I hadn't even thought to ask because I just did my usual sniff, taste. Hey, this is beautiful.
Oh, it's delicious.
This is pure.
Yep. The tap water's just
the tap water
best
is,
in the world.
It's like, it is.
Yeah.
And look, if you think either of us are having a go at Australia here by blurting on about how good this place is, well, we're not, I love Australia. I know Matt does too, like we've both travelled heaps in Australia. It's not about that at all. It's about extending your horizon, I guess, But I would say this, and this was a thought I kept going around in my head yesterday, I'd see little cabins up in the hills and everything else, and there's a freedom here that we used to have in Australia in the 70s. There's a real, no fences.
You can jump in the back of a ute and get a lift down the pub.
Get a lift down the pub, and the ute will be a Hilux, and it might be lifted and have bigger tyres. They've got all that. It's all here too. And there's also, a little bit of the poorer stuff. You don't see beggars or any of that, but it's so free. It's so free. We pulled into, we had lunch yesterday at that little creek winding through the mountains. So you've got snow-capped Alps over here, and you've got lovely grass, which isn't maintained. I'd say, looking by the dung, the sheep had come through. It sort of cropped to a sheep level.
Probably guanacos.
Well, it might have been guanacos, who knows. And, well, I reckon they'd leave a bigger trace of dung, but anyway, I'm big on dung. You can usually work out what's going on by the dung, but we don't need to go there. And there we are, the boys are just, I think Slater had a sleep. I was watching him,
Yeah.
We're in the sun, T-shirts, sleeping with snow-covered Alps up here and rocks. So you don't get that in Australia. And anyway, where I was going with that was we could have gone anywhere there. We could have camped. We could have done anything that was sensible. We only saw maybe 2 or 3 cars on that whole stretch of road. And, the freedom was just like we used to have. Nobody thought to ring the camping ground with logs or rocks or do any of that stupid rubbish that just restricts people. The place was clean really clean. If things got really tight in Australia, if they keep going the way they are at the moment, where, let's let national parks look after everything because they do such a good job, and all they do is shut it up so no one can go there until it burns down. If we keep facing that kind of idiocy in Australia, this is the place I'd come to.
Totally, yeah.
I never thought I'd say that about anywhere in the world. I haven't seen anywhere in the world. Certainly wouldn't go to the States or anywhere like that, but this place has got a freedom that, coupled with the attitudes of the people, they're just beautiful people. And
so friendly.
So friendly. And they seem to anticipate your needs. They don't ask for your credit card so much as just what do you need.
They're country folk, We're 3,000 kilometres from Buenos Aires, we're a long way from the big smoke.
Okay.
So I think that helps. People have got to look out for each other, they've got to share a mate, and you help your neighbour, when you live in the bush, don't you? Because you have to.
You do.
You be nice to them because you're going to need them one day,
Yeah. Everyone's been nice to us, which is
very
amazing.
welcoming. Like I said, they just don't see a lot of Aussies. They don't see a lot of foreign tourists.
No.
They get a few Chilean, from Buenos Aires, Santiago coming down here, but it's not a lot of foreigners coming here at the moment. So it's so well set up for it. And now you can fly. They've just added flights from Santiago down to Patagonia, so we can fly. We don't necessarily need to go through Buenos Aires, so it's cheaper and easier now. We can fly direct Melbourne, Santiago, then a 3-hour flight from Santiago down to here, and you're here. You're in the thick of it in Patagonia. I mean, how good's that?
If you haven't seen Patagonia, you don't know how big the world is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I mean,
and we are so far south too.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't get light. You know, it's summer or it's just coming out of summer. It got light at 7:45 this morning.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I mean, it's beautiful weather, but it's a bit on the chilly side. Like it's, you know, it's probably been, you know, high teens, low 20s most of the days.
Yeah, don't let Mr. T-shirt fool you. We are inside, you know, but even so, I've got about 3 layers on, and I'll need more for outside. You know, I'll have everything I've got on the motorbike.
But they all come off in the afternoon.
Well, they
when
do.
The sun
That's
comes
the funny
out,
thing,
you know,
and you're getting a bit of a workout too. You know, bouncing along. Actually, probably need to say something about the bikes. You know.
Yes. Indeed.
Someone fired out a thing the other day from Australia, which was a comparison of the CF Moto, the Chinese 450 trail bike, and the Himalayan. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see it, yeah.
Okay. And it was saying, oh, you know, they're pretty close, but the CF does this a bit better and it does that and blah, blah, blah. Nobody here in their right mind would have one of those for the simple reason that the Indian bike, you know, we're riding Scrams, which are basically a 410, I think.
Yeah, Himalayan, basically.
Yeah, Himalayan. Yeah. It's a Himalayan, but slightly sort of more street-wise, a little bit lower, a bit more comfortable. It is actually about where Matchless, BSA, everything else in the 50s in England was at, except it doesn't leak oil. It's just super reliable, and they are taking a pounding.
They're indestructible. That's why we use them.
Yeah.
And we actually using the previous model.
Yeah.
That's been around now for close to 10 years probably, and was built for the Himalayas to ride. It was the Himalayan built to ride in the Himalayas, and the Andes are very similar, you know, in a lot of ways, the roads, you know. So
now I have Indian friends, and it's actually Himalayan.
I know, but you know,
I know. We always say Himalayan. And look, they've got minimal tech, you know, which means there's less to go wrong. The biggest problem I've had is it won't start when the side stands down. Hey, wow, you know, that's a goose factor. When these bikes show up in Australia, people look at them and go, oh, it's just cheap. It's just Indian. It's just cheap. They're not seeing the picture of the whole world, the world view of something like this. Here we are, you know, we've got, 9 Enfields on this trip. 9. And they are absolutely perfect. And when you see other riders here, they're either on the same, if they know what they're doing, or they're the GS BMW, bigger cruiser jobbies. But we don't see them on the tight little tracks we're taking.
No, you don't.
You just don't.
You see them on the open roads.
See them on the open roads, the highways, everything else. But if you want to really, because this is what we're doing, we're punching through back roads and seeing things. We get to see the touristy places like where we're going today. But the other side of it is, you know, you cruise past a little Chilean farmhouse or something, and there's some horses in the paddock, and you know, it's like taking the B and the C roads in Australia to get somewhere.
And like, I mean, the setup we've got here with the Hilux and the off-road trailer to carry the luggage and all the cooking, because we do cook a lot of lunches on the way because there's nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go.
Steak sandwiches.
Oh yeah, steak sandwiches. Sebastian, you know, Lucia.
Well, talk about, you know, our you know, local crew, aren't they amazing?
They're just amazing.
You want to take them home with you, don't you? They're just beautiful people.
Yeah.
Well, so helpful.
Lucia's beautiful too, which
of course she is. There you go, Lucia.
You know, definitely. We're all in love with Lucia.
Yes.
What do we got for lunch?
Oh, we're having some ribeye today.
Ribeye.
Yeah. On the barbecue, but on the
oh my God, look at this.
fire-safe barbecue, you know.
Yeah.
Here we are. We're feeding the.
Only in Argentina.
We're feeding the chaquetas first.
Chaquitas.
Chaquetas.
What's chaquitas?
The chaquetas are an insect. They eat meat. They love blood, so that's why we fed them first. So
chaquitas.
They go directly there and leave us work here just.
There you go.
Easily.
Look at this setup. Patagonia.
Nah, Lucia and Seb, yesterday, you know, they do this all the time. We're big heroes, you know, we've just ridden down this tight dirt track, which was pretty heroic. And then we lob into this lovely grassed area I was telling you about, with the river burbling away over here, sun's out, T-shirts lying on the grass. Next minute, a couple of steak sandwiches to die for.
Like no one cooks meat as well as Seba.
Okay, yeah, let's just
grilled.
Right, now, one of my fascinations before I came here was knowing that some of the best meals I've ever eaten have been based on Spanish interpretations from Argentina. So when you get over here and you look at the cattle, you can see straight away why the meat tastes so good. The cows are fit, you know, it's good meat. I haven't had a bad piece of meat since I've been here, and I've been eating meat a lot.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that over here they cook a lot on the fire, an awful lot. Probably, you know, I know 200, 300, 400 years ago, everyone used to cook on fires, pots, whatever. Most places have lost that, you know, except for Australia in the bush, where I think we pretty much excel, and here, where I think they probably excel too.
Yeah, they definitely do, yeah.
And you know, Seb is just an awesome bush cook.
Yeah.
You know, he could do my job back home all the time, not a problem. That meal we had the other day, not yesterday, the day before. Remember when we had lunch and we stopped to play that game?
On the rest day, yeah.
On the rest day. Oh, how good was that?
Well, that was traditional Argentinian asado. So flame grilled, beef, salt, bit of oil, but there's some, I don't know what they do. Like it just tastes so
tasted. Well, it starts
much
by
better
being
than
good meat.
anything I've ever had. Like it's unbelievable.
It starts out just because it's really good meat, you know. But the other thing was, you know, we used to do this thing called hobo's meal back home, where you just cook, so you just wrap it up in alfoil, you know, and chuck it in the fire, piece of chicken and some mushrooms, something like that, bang. So the other day, Seb did something that was so simple, you know, it was like baked potatoes in the fire that we do all the time back home. And they just slit some carrots up. I helped them with it because I wanted to see how it went together, and slit some potatoes up. So it's just carrots and potatoes together, big, you know, big chunks, and oil, olive oil, pepper and salt, one sheet of alfoil wrap into the fire, you know, little package. Packages come out just fantastic. I mean...
You're missing one thing.
What?
The capsicum eggs.
Oh, forgot about the capsicum eggs. Okay, do you want to describe them?
No, you go. You're the man. You're the master of the words.
All right. Well,
wordsmith.
Listen, I'm bringing this back to Australia, and I don't want anyone else to do it until I get back home.
Copyright.
Right? Copyright on this one. Capsicum, you know, slice the top off, crack an egg in it, a little bit of pepper and salt. Put it on the griddle, you know, on anything that's kind of pretty close to the fire, and just cook it. Well, you reckon there might have been a bit of cheese on there too?
I think the first round was just the egg and salt and pepper, from what I could tell, and then the second round, I think they sprinkled some local cheese. I think it was just to give it a bit of colour, you know. Yeah. Incredible.
The only thing I could offer up was my choc orange, you know, where you lop the top off an orange and stick a bit of chocolate down the middle, and I saw Seb got it straight away.
Yeah.
Lucia translated, Seb got it. He went, oh yeah, and I thought, mate, I just learned something better.
Yeah, he's your brother from a different mother, that bloke.
He is,
I reckon.
isn't he? He's a cool guy.
Cool guy.
Good mechanic too.
Good mechanic, drives our support vehicle. Just can't do enough for us.
No, he's a great guy.
I've been working with these guys since 2018, 19, and they're like family, you know. Lucia's already asked me to change my flights and stay for another week, so we can go and explore some more backcountry for next year. Tempted, but
this is. I found this in Sri Lanka, the first trip we did, Karen and I. Different version because it's a different country, but this is the Nevermind difference. You know, we spend the day exploring backtracks and going places that tourists don't go on motorbikes, so it's right bang there in your face, you're feeling it. You get all of that, and then you come to some glorious resort at night, you know, some kind of 5-star accommodation or near as, and then you get the people, the direct involvement with the people, you know. I've had a few little just translation issues, you know, and you talk to Lucia, and she gets it straight away.
Yeah, like she speaks 4 languages, unlike, you know, Australians, you know. It's very rare.
We don't speak a lot of language in Australia.
Barely English.
Pub language, wife language,
Yeah.
that's about it, you know.
It's great to share cultures, isn't it? You know, like we're sharing our culture with them, and they really enjoy that as well. So it's, you know, we've had groups of French through here, and it's interesting to see the differences and speak. You know, just to, you know, the Australians are we're very easy. You know, like that's what we see. We'll say, you guys are just, you know, like if we can't get a fancy meal at the end of the night, and we just have a steak sanger or a pizza, we don't care, you know, like, we get it, you know, like it's all right. She reckons the Frenchies can be a bit tricky because she's had a few of them over the years, and but you know, we like to drink beers, you know, and she said the hotels love it that we come in and we spend money at the bar, and you know, they're small businesses, you know, that even, you know, we call them resorts, but you know, like Justin owns this place, and his family's built it up over the years. I mean, this is what we look for, you know. We don't want to stay in the Holiday Inns, you know.
No.
And every beer you drink helps them build their dream.
See, that is the best reason I've ever heard to drink more beer.
Yeah, so...
By crikey, have we built a few holiday dreams on this trip?
Yep, we're supporting the local economy, and, supporting the locals, so, and having a good time with them at the same time.
There's another element here too, you know, like, and that's what makes it special, you know. I know you like to think of it as a cult. You're not quite there yet, but it's getting close, I can tell you. It's a bit of a problem. But
the leader. Call me the leader from now on.
I don't know.
No, it's not.
The leader is a typical Aussie because he kind of leads from behind or in front or whatever. It doesn't seem to matter.
No.
You know.
We're a team.
And that's where I was going to go with this. I made friends on our Sri Lankan trip that I'll have forever. You know, because you start out with a commonality. There's a whole lot of four-wheel drivers, you know.
True.
And that's because they're just adventurous people who aren't frightened of going up backtracks and off-roads and everything else. That's almost an essential if you're going to come on a Nevermind trip. You want to know to expect the unexpected and be able to deal with it. So that takes a certain type of person, very adventurous. And then you've got the shared element of motorbikes, of course. And somehow that welds together a group. Here we are, we're about a week into this trip, and I've got mates I'm going to have forever, and they're from all walks of life.
Well, we got Brisbane, you know. Good. We got Jamesy from Brisbane.
Jamesy, who played rugby professionally in Ireland and South Africa, who made a really big career out of boats. You know, Gold Coast guy, but as blokey as any bloke I've ever met.
What a character.
And
Jamesy.
He loved that. Jamesy. But they're all like that, you know. Slater, who we were talking about before, he's a mortgage broker, you know. Yeah. And yet, when you see him light up, man, you know.
He comes back every year. Him and Dan, the three guys from Perth, there's Dan and Wayno.
Oh, Dan, you know, Dan's an engineer running a foundry, casting all sorts of insane things, and yet, you know, he's quite humble in the way he talks about the stuff he's done.
And can't he bust a move?
Oh, Dancing Dan.
He comes over, I think, you know, he gets on he rides all day, a few drinks, dances, sleeps, he does that for 2 weeks and goes home a happy man. Yeah. He's great.
Wayne, you know, like, he's sort of a little bit quieter sometimes, but...
Yeah, a little bit less confident on the road, you know. He's a newer rider, but he's been to Vietnam with me, and I can see his skills getting better all the time.
All the time.
You know, I love that. I love that, you know, he's comfortable to come along on these more adventurous rides, and, you know, he's having a great time. Yeah. Then you got the honk and myself representing Geelong.
Oh, representing Geelong. Oh, poor Geelong. What else can we say? I mean...
I hope that's all right.
Hey, what do you got? Girly drinks.
48 years old, and I think I'm going to start something up. It's smoking.
Stacey, look at your husband. He's got a pack of darts and 3 fucking vodkas and lime, and he's already had one, so I'll keep it. Ready to go. He's in good company. I'll keep an eye on him.
You know, did you see? Well, you were there the other day. We pulled up on the side of the road. We were waiting for the other guys, and there was this little duckling running around Jamesy's bike, and he tried to save it. You know, like you could tell by the way it was squawking. It had lost its mum. You know. And And then the honk came along and I'm filming it and the honk goes in and he finally gets his big hands around this tiny little
Mind
duckling.
you, he was stopping traffic.
He was out in the middle of the road.
Traffic control.
Yeah, well, this is why we were waiting, because we were at an intersection where, we finally found a sealed road just before the border crossing. And there was cars going, and the honk's just standing in the middle of the road stopping him while he deals with this duckling. People must have thought he was crazy.
And he's all of 6'6" and built like a brick shit house.
And the most gentle man you'd meet in that other sense,
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't want to say that to him in a pub late at night. But,
no, he can handle it. I've been winding him up for the whole time. He loves it. He'd think there's something wrong with me if I didn't. We've known each other a long time. It's great to have one of my good mates, actually. Can't jump on one of these rides because it's cool to share it with them and show them what I do. They talk about it, they see it on the social media, and to have one of my best mates here is really special for me. So
that's great.
Thanks,
Shawnee. Yeah, good on you, Shawnee.
So
top guy. What about Billy? Bill Savage, Struth.
The Savage.
I've met him around.
Yeah, well, he's been around Nevermind a long time, so he's probably been on all of our tours, and he lives and breathes motorcycle touring. So he'll book a trip, and he's like, "I'm coming to help as well." So
yeah, he does, doesn't he?
And he'll always jump in to lend a hand. Yeah. He's super fit, and loves a chat.
We were talking the other day, and just out of nowhere, because Jamesy used to be in the Navy, and he was talking Navy. And I saw a look cross Bill's eyes, and I said, "Were you in the forces, mate?" Because he's an American originally, eh? Yeah. And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Where?" Or I said, "What? What'd you do?" And he's quiet, which is unusual for Bill, because normally he can fill a space real quick. Yeah. And he was a bit quiet, and then he said, "Oh yeah, Rangers, 5.5 years." Yeah. Now, if you know anything about the American military, Rangers is. It's not quite SAS, but it's getting up there. It's first assault troops and stuff like that. He's not a big man. He's super fit. Yeah, and from here, Tranquillo, Porto Tranquillo. So Porto Tranquillo. We've got a short ride there today, and on the way, I was telling you earlier, one of my favourite stops, food stops on the way. There's an old lady, and she works out of a 1950s school bus. So it's got no wheels on it, and she cooks the most delicious empanadas you've ever had in your life. So we'll stop. It's only about 40 minutes up the road. We'll stop there, and we've got to sample her offering. It's incredible. So that'll be we'll call it lunch. Isn't it good? Like you come on one of these trips. By the time I go home, I'll have sampled the best of everything this place has got to offer. 2 countries, 1 big region. So thanks everyone for listening. Thanks John. If you're interested in Patagonia, bookings for January 2026 are open, and so just jump on the website. I think there's a couple of spots left still. www.nevermindadventuretours.com.au.